children in a prominent family who decided to give their father a book of the family's history for his birthday. So they commissioned a professional biographer to do the work, but they carefully warned the biographer that there was a quote-unquote black sheep problem in the family. You see, Uncle George had been executed in the electric chair for murder. The biographer assured the children, I can handle that situation so that there will be absolutely no embarrassment. I'll merely say that Uncle George occupied a chair of applied electronics at an important government institution. He was attached to his position with the strongest of ties, and his death came as a real shock. The old saying goes, you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your relatives. That is so true. If the truth be known, I would say all of us, either knowingly or unknowingly, have some, shall we say, shady characters in our family tree. But don't feel bad. Jesus also had someone in his family tree whose character, you might say, left a lot to be desired. And we're not speaking of Jesus' family tree, of course. I'm talking about his physical, biological family tree. This particular relative that I'm talking about, her name was Rahab. And she is the woman of faith that we come to this morning in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 31. So let's take a look at that passage. Hebrews 11, verse 31. If you remember, we're in what we call the Hall of Faith, the faith chapter in the Bible, where all these heroes of the faith are mentioned. And we started off the series by me reminding you of Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. Remember that verse tells us, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. So the idea is, keep reading there, the idea is that we're down on the track running, and all these people we've been studying since the first of the year are the people who are in the stands. They are the ones, through their example, cheering us on. So today we come to a woman named Rahab, who is in not only the Hall of Faith, but she's also in Jesus' family tree. Verse 31, by faith, the prostitute Rahab, because she welcomed the spies, was not killed with those who were disobedient. Did you notice her occupation? She's called a prostitute. Yes, to use a little biblical terminology, a harlot. A woman of the night. I could make a few more descriptions, but I don't think it might be appropriate for here. Nevertheless, she was a woman who offered her services to others. Again, how in the world did she get in the Hall of Faith? How did a woman who's a prostitute get in the family tree of Jesus Christ? That's a good question, wouldn't you say? Well, to get our answer, we've got to back up a little bit. You'll remember last week we took a look at how the walls of Jericho came crumbling down. Rahab worked her trade, you might say, in Jericho. So we're going to have to back up before Jericho falls to figure out what's going on here. Before the fall of Jericho, Joshua, who was the new commander-in-chief, Moses has gone from the scene. Now Joshua takes over. They've crossed the Jordan River, miraculously, and they're about to take the city of Jericho. So Joshua sends in these two spies to spy out the land. And these two spies go to Jericho. And these two spies end up going to the home of Rahab the prostitute. Several years ago, I was telling this story, and in fact, it wasn't even at this church. I was telling this story, and I asked the question, so why do you suppose that these Israelite spies went to the house of a prostitute? And this guy, kind of smart, thinks he knew everything. He's like, I know why they went. I was like, no, it wasn't like that. I personally do not believe they went there for her sexual services. It would be totally inconsistent with what's going on in the passage. They are going to do a little surveillance, a little espionage. They're going to spy out the land. They want to see how the city's laid out inside. They want to inspect the walls, etc. They are on a mission trip, if you will. It would be totally inconsistent with her character to go for her sexual services. Furthermore, they were in a very precarious situation. Their life was on the line, and to engage in some kind of ungodly behavior, wouldn't you agree with me, that'd be very foolish? After all, how could they expect Almighty God to bless their mission if they wantonly engaged in sexual sin? Okay, John, what were they doing going to this house of the old people? Why did they stay at the house of the harlot? Well, I don't think they entered the city and said, hey, let's go find a prostitute. Let me give you a couple of plausible scenarios. One, when they entered the city, they were most likely undercover. They were most likely disguising themselves as travelers. As a spy on an espionage mission, I doubt they walked in there in full military attire. They were probably coming as if they were just passing through, so to speak. And sometimes when we're just passing through, maybe on a vacation or going to see a relative or something that's a long way off, what do? We sometimes have to spend the night on the road. What do? We look for a hotel or a motel that we can afford. Then we're looking for the Holiday Inn Express or something. I like those. They're not too nice, they're not too bad. Middle of the road kind of place. Maybe they were disguising themselves as travelers and they're looking for the Holiday Inn Express in Jericho. And that's how they end up at her house, because Josephus, the Jewish historian, tells us that she was also an innkeeper. So she had her own Holiday Inn, if you will, there in Jericho. So maybe that is how they wound up in the house of Rahab the harlot. Another scenario might be that she was waiting by the road at the entrance to Jericho of the city, as prostitutes sometimes did, to solicit business. Maybe she even propositioned the two travelers as they're coming to spy out the city. And maybe they thought, well, hey, no one will expect us. No one will expect that we're going to go to this house. Prostitution doesn't look normal, is what I'm trying to say. It just looked like we're passing through or going over there. And this, maybe they actually used that as cover. One scenario I really like is the fact that they were spying out the land, and Rahab's house was located high up on the city wall. Now, wouldn't that be a good place to survey the city? Wouldn't that be a good place to look down and see what kind of military they had, and what kind of movements they engaged in, and all the fortifications that they had, and what was the weaknesses of the city? I think that's why they went to her house. Maybe there was a big sign out front that says vacancy or something like that, and it's up on the wall, and they said, that would be a good place for us to survey the city. We're coming in looking like travelers, and no one will suspect anything as we go to stay at our house. Maybe that's what they were thinking. Whatever the case may be, they ended up staying at the house of Rahab the prostitute, and someone saw them climbing the stairs to her house. And someone put two and two together and said, those guys look like spies. They look like Israelite spies. I'm going to go tattle to the king. I don't blame them. If I'd been living in Jericho, I'd probably done the same thing. Now, I don't know how they figured out they were spies. Maybe they looked a little different. They weren't Canaanites. They were Hebrews. Maybe something about their attire did give them away. But whatever the case was, they were suspected of being spies. So they went back and told the king. Next thing you know, the king is sending some people over there to apprehend these two spies, arrest them, and bring them in. In the meantime, Rahab, keep in mind, she's up there high on the wall. She looks down and sees the quote-unquote police coming, if you will, and she hides the Hebrew spies out on her flat-top roof. On top of her roof, she has some stalks of flax up there, about 3 feet in length. They use the flax to make cloth in that day and time, so she hides them under the flax. They probably have to curl up, so like 3 feet, so kind of get in the fetal position probably under this flax. And who knows, maybe they can overhear what all's being said down below as they come to arrest the spies. They say, bring out the men who came to you and entered your house. They have come to spy out the land. Well, Rahab, she's between a rock and a hard place. Would she reveal the spies, or would she lie to protect them? What's she going to do? And keep in mind, it would kind of be unpatriotic to protect these spies. I mean, these people in Jericho are her people. And these king's men are coming to say, where are these spies? So what's she going to do? Is she going to give up the spies? And maybe be a hero? Or is she going to hide them? I'm going to circle back to that in a minute. She chose the lesser of the two evils. She says to the soldiers, I quote, yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they came from. At dusk, when it was time to close the gate, the men left. I don't know which way they went. Go after them quickly. You may catch up with them. The whole time, they're on the roof under these stalks of flax. As the king's men left in hot pursuit, Ahab went up on the roof and began to talk to the spies and tell them what's going on. And she said to them, please swear to me by the Lord that you will show kindness to my family because I have shown kindness to you. So what she's trying to do is make a deal with these spies. And the spies answer her back. They say, our lives for your lives. If you don't tell what we're doing, we will treat you kindly and faithfully when the Lord gives us the land. And they strike up a deal, and to make the deal binding, they said, you have to hang a scarlet cord or a scarlet colored rope from your window, and everybody has to stay inside that room or else they could get killed during the battle. So they struck up the deal. Rahab dropped the rope out her window. She gave them instructions and told them where to go and hang out there for 3 days. And after 3 days, they could come out when the men stopped looking for them. They go back and tell Joshua everything, and that's what they did. They went back to tell Joshua they had spied out the land, gave him the surveillance report. And the next thing you know, Israelite army, some 40,000 strong, is marching against the city of Jericho. Remember last week I told you this went on for a week. Jericho was conquered basically by a marching band because they just marched around the city on day one. Didn't say a word. Just quietly marched around the city. Probably took them about 30 minutes. Just eerie crunching of the rocks beneath their feet as they walked around. They blow around so the priest would, and then they go back. And they did that for 6 days. On the 7th day, they went around 7 times. Blew the horn. They shouted. The walls of Jericho came crumbling down except for the home of Rahab. It kind of stayed in place. I thought that was kind of strange looking. Everything crumbling down there. Her house set high up in the wall with that scarlet cord in the mirror. I'm not here. In sight for them to see. The window I meant to see. Her whole family was spared. They all survived the siege. But why? Quite simply because she responded in faith. She believed in God and that his people would be victorious. And so she welcomed the spies. That is, gave them lodging. And for that deed of kindness, her life was not only spared, but she came to be a part of God's people and became an ancestor not only of King David, but also of Jesus Christ himself. And since Rahab is mentioned here in Hebrews chapter 11, the Hall of Faith, I believe it's safe to say that she was not only saved physically, but she was also saved spiritually. She has the kind of faith that even today we can emulate. The kind of faith that leads to the heavenly city, whose builder and architect is God. So with this in mind, let's take a closer look at this, what I'm going to call saving faith. Saved her physically, saved her spiritually. I believe we'd be wise to take a closer look at it. For one, saving faith is not all-knowing. Keep in mind, she was not an Israelite. She didn't grow up in the synagogue. She wasn't raised listening to Old Testament scripture. She hadn't been to Bible study. She hadn't been listening to high-powered evangelists and preachers and teachers. Though her knowledge was very, very limited, yet it was enough to get her saved. Let's take a closer look at how much she knew. We can see her story, part of it anyway, in Joshua chapter 2, verses 8 through 11. Let's take a look at that. Joshua chapter 2, verses 8 through 11. Let's see just how much she knew. Before the spies lay down for the night, she went up on the roof and said to them, I know that the Lord, keep in mind L-O-R-D there, all in caps, notice that, that means Yahweh. I know that Yahweh has given this land to you, and that a great fear of you has fallen on us, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you. Why are they melting in fear? Verse 10. We have heard, it's based on what they've heard, we have heard how Yahweh dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt. Remember, they were the most powerful land at the time. And what you did to Sihon and Og, the two kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, whom you completely destroyed. When we heard of it, our hearts melted and everyone's courage fell because of you. For Yahweh, your God, is the God in heaven above and on the earth below. That's pretty much all her knowledge. She knew that Yahweh was the real God. God above, God below. She knew that God had given them the victory. Just as he parted the Red Sea and took out these strong kings just to the east of them, she believed in faith that God's people were going to come and destroy Jericho. And as quote-unquote as unpatriotic as it might have been against the city of Jericho, she had rather be a part of God's people. Because she knew that God's people were going to be victorious. Again, she didn't know a whole lot. Her faith was, man, you got to admit, it was greatly limited. But what little she knew motivated her to follow God. And it saved her both physically and spiritually. Basically, she was motivated out of fear, wouldn't you agree? She knew that if she did not put her life in with God and his people, she was dead. She wasn't going to make history. She was going to be history. And she believed that in faith. You know, I know in my own life, when I look back, when I came to the Lord, I was probably around 12, and I didn't know a whole lot more than Rahab. I had heard about the Lord. Obviously, I'd never met the Lord before, but I heard about him through Bible stories. I'd heard about his miracles and his great acts, and like Rahab, I believe God was God of heaven and earth. And like Rahab, I believed I would be destroyed if I didn't accept Jesus Christ. Put it simply, I didn't want to go to hell. That was my main motivation. I was being upfront with you. I wanted to be on the winning team. I remember thinking that and not wanting to go to hell. Now, is that not exactly what Rahab's motivation was? She wanted to be on the winning team. She wanted to be with God's people, and she did not want to be destroyed. So my initial motivation to follow God might seem a little negative, but it got me saved. Lord willing, one day I'll be in heaven with Rahab and the other heroes of the faith, and you will be too if you give your life to Christ and follow him. If you're not a Christian, you've not given your life to Christ, please don't let your lack of biblical knowledge hold you back. God does not expect you to know his word inside and out before you come to him. You just need to realize that without Jesus Christ, you're not saved. And you're facing an eternity, a godless eternity. I'm putting it nicely. Jesus described it as hell. It's a place you don't want to go. A place of torment, weeping, gnashing of teeth. The fire's never quenched and the worm never dies. Think about that. If we accept Jesus Christ, we're rescued from that destruction, and we get to spend eternity in heaven with God and his people. So don't let a lack of knowledge hold you back. Second, her saving faith teaches us this. A saving faith acts on what knowledge it has. Even though she didn't know a lot about God, she knew she needed to do something for God. Now that's important. She knew if she was going to be a part of his people, and she knew if she was going to do what God wanted her to do, she needed to do something, and she welcomed the spies. Her action, even though was based on limited knowledge, it is what she's commended for. It may not seem like a big deal, but it landed her in the Hall of Faith. Landed her here in Hebrews 11. Let's take a look at James chapter 2, 25. Just a few pages over in the New Testament. James chapter 2, verse 25 and 26. In the same way, was not even Rahab the prostitute considered righteous for what she did when she gave lodging to the spies and sent them off in a different direction? As the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without deeds is dead. You see, she's commended for doing something. Yes, she had faith, but her faith expressed itself, and God expects no less from us. Even though we may not know everything, He does expect us to act upon what we do know. In fact, part of my job as a minister is to prepare people for works of service. We see that in Ephesians 4, 11 through 12. We all really need to actively look for ways that we can be involved in the ministry of God's church. I recently read an article, it was a while back. It was from a Christian periodical. I'm going to share it with you. It's a little on the negative side, but it makes a powerful point. It's about a preacher who visited a disgruntled couple who had been missing from the church for several weeks. As the preacher visited them, the husband said, "We aren't coming back. That's an unloving, cold church that claims to care about people, but doesn't." The preacher asked him on what basis he made the judgment. The man replied, "We were gone for 4 weeks. We were gone from that church before anyone even noticed." What kind of church does not notice something like that? So they'd missed 4 Sundays in a row, and nobody contacted them, so they were upset. The preacher replied, he said, "What kind of person are you that you could be gone for 4 weeks and that no one in the church could tell?" The preacher pressed on. "What work suffered because you stopped your ministry? What mission work ground to a halt because you withdrew your funding, prayers, and support? Could it be, just imagine with me a moment, could it be that you never really were a part of the church? Could that be why your departure was unnoticed?" I bet they didn't go back to that church. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying we shouldn't try to keep up with people. If someone's missing, we should try to find out what's going on. But we should be so involved that it's easy to notice when we're not here. That's the point. God expects all of us to have a living, acting faith that is alive. Faith without works is dead. When you think of Rahab, she acted on very little knowledge. And I would dare say that we all have much more knowledge at this point than she did. Nothing else you know about Jesus that she did. In reference to this, Paul writes to us in Philippians 3:16, "Only let us live up to what we've already attained. Much is given, much is expected." We need to live up to what we already know. You may not know everything, but at least do something with what you do know. Finally, Rahab teaches us that a saving faith is for everyone who wants to know. Think about that for a moment. She teaches us that life-saving faith is for everyone. It's open to all people regardless of their past. I think you would agree with me, her past must have been pretty checkered. We can only imagine how dark her past was. Gentile, pagan, prostitute. Let's not try to sugarcoat what she was. She had been immoral. In fact, this word prostitute in the Greek comes from the Greek word porne, from which we get our word pornography. That'll give you an idea. Rahab had been one of the bad girls of the Bible. And she was not only saved, but she was incorporated into the Hall of Faith right here, chapter 11. I think you would agree with me, that's quite an accomplishment. She's going to be known from here on because of her good deed, her kind deeds to those spies, regardless of her past. I want you to think of someone that you know right now who is sexually immoral. Could be a fornicator, somebody that sleeps around, somebody that's an adulterer, somebody that's married to somebody, sleeping with somebody else, maybe a homosexual, somebody that's engaged in that kind of lifestyle. I'm sure most of us all know somebody who's some type of sexual deviant. Now hear this. That person can be saved. Don't mark them off as beyond all hope. They not only can be saved, but they can go on to do great things for God as Rahab did if they will surrender their lives to Jesus Christ. They can escape destruction and go on to do great things for God. Maybe there's someone here today who's letting their sinful past hold them back from surrendering to God and serving Him. I want you to know that God has enough grace and forgiveness to wipe it all out. No matter how bad you've been, God's grace is greater. Believe me, if Rahab can get into Jesus' family tree, you can certainly get into the Lord's church.
Hi there, I'm John Wagnon, minister of New Discovery Christian Church here in Hernando, Mississippi. And I want to thank you for visiting our YouTube channel. I do hope you enjoy the sermons, and I hope the Lord builds you up through His Word as I do my best to present it to you. If you're ever in the area, feel free to drop by and check us out live and in person. Once again, thank you for checking out our YouTube channel.